Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in Hungary, just on the outskirts of the country's capital of Budapest. Welcome at the Hungaroring. It is time for day 2 of the second weekend of the 2023 season of ESET Cup Series and all the championships that have come along together with it. My name is Pavel Fabry and I will be your commentator for the weekend. As is usual, the cars are ready on the racetrack. The first cars, the first crop of cars that is going to have their race right early on Sunday morning, 8:40, and we go racing. There's nothing to be waiting for because we have got a day ram-packed full of racing action. So whatever you're doing on your Sunday, whether you're just having breakfast or maybe coming back from a bar or simply waiting for a Grand Prix of some sorts, whatever, be welcome and spend some exciting time together with us. We have got the baby rock and roll for you ready right early on to begin with, and it's the Renault Twingo Cup that is doing their first weekend of the 2023 season. The Twingo Cup did not join the bill together with the rest of the championships the last time out in Germany at Oschersleben. We are racing for the first time among the Twingos here in Hungary, so this is the season opener, and it was an exciting race yesterday, just exactly what we're expecting from the Twingos. So they did not disappoint, and they are not going to disappoint on Sunday morning either. So you've just seen the starting grid. Let's just skip through that very quickly to see what's what and who is where. It is yesterday's race winner, Rok Cerar, on pole position. Alongside him, Mihailo Mladenovic on row number 2. You have got here Luca Glaser and Luca Grm, yesterday's pole sitter, whose race did not actually turn out as good as he was hoping for, but also not a disaster to start the season with. Miha Fabian in 5th, and alongside him Nick Poljanec. Behind them Marko Blaževský. He was leading 2 laps from the end at the restart, but then dropped down to 7th, but that is the way it goes with the Renault Twingo. Alongside Blaževský it's Míťa Velkavrch, and then behind them Andrej Škorians, Bojan Šeme, Nikola Jančič, Bojan Petruševský, Branko Rafailovský, Jakaš Tuflek, Muris Hamzik, Antonius, Tomi Sandrin, Zal Rezar, Slobodan Trajkovský, and in 20th Boris Stojmenov. Behind them Janez Murn, Vladimír Trenevský, Dejan Robida, who's actually not going to take part in the race. We just spoke a couple of minutes back. He had a big failure in yesterday's race and spilled a lot of oil around the track, and he's gonna only focus on his Renault Clio Cup race later on. But that is it for his weekend from Twingos. So everyone is ready on the grid, and we are away. The red lights are off, and away we go into the first corner. Rok Cerar will try to hold on to first place right from the start. It is a long run towards the first corner. Now the track drops down, and downhill we go into the opening corner. It is a rather tight hairpin. The Twingos aren't that fast, but trust me, even in the Twingos, this is not an easy corner right at the start, and Rok Cerar immediately loses the first position to Mihailo Mladenovic, who is now getting ahead of him. But there will be again a lot of slipstreaming, a lot of bum drafting, and the order is going to change pretty much in every single corner, as is usual in the Twingo Cup. Ooh, we've got one of the drivers, that's Luca Grm, yesterday's pole sitter, in a little bit of trouble, finding himself on the outside of the corner, and one of the other Twingos also dropping the right-hand side wheels on the grass, but everybody seems to be safely through the opening couple of corners. So it's Mihailo Mladenovic in the race lead from Cerar, and it appears as though it is Miha Fabian up to 3rd. Luca Glaser, he dropped 1 place down to 4th. You'll see there the white strip down the inside line of the track. That is actually yesterday's oil spill from the car of Dejan Robida. Of course, taken care of with the necessary cement powder. Battles opening up here and there, and we are now halfway through the opening lap of the race. So it's still Mladenovic leading from Cerar and Miha Fabian in third. Luka Grimm is trying to get ahead of Luka Glaser. They shared the second row of the grid together, but Miha Fabian managed to slip through from fifth on the grid. And now it is the top five running together into the final sequence of corners. Uphill we go, back onto the start and finish straight. These aren't very fast cars. 1 litre, 3-cylinder engine, 78 brake horsepower. But also the cars aren't very heavy, 870 kilograms. This is what you call the bump drafting, literally contact bumper on bumper, and the drivers helping each other along the pit straight. They are pushing each other. And also making gestures to one another inside their cockpits. Ooh, a little bit of a wild moment into the first corner as Luka Glaser snatches third from Miha Fabian. It's not that important whether you're leading on the second lap or not, because really the order will change a lot, or might change a lot, let me say. Just like Marko Blaževski learned the hard way in yesterday's race. On the restart, after the lengthy red flag period, he was leading, but then it only took 2 laps for him to drop down to 7th, and it's not like something extra dramatic happened to him. I mean, if you were in a Formula 1 race and you were restarting 2 laps from the end, from first and finished 7th, then the journalists would come to you and say, what happened there? Can you explain? But in Twingos, simply the race happened. Marko Blaževski is now up 1 place from his start. He's dealt with Nick Poljanec, and he is in 6th position, the Macedonian. Mladenovic in the lead from Cerar, Fabian, Glaser. Then you've got Grm, Blaževski and Nick Poljanec, with Mitja Velkavrch in 8th, following them. So that mostly blue car, that is Luka Glaser. Behind him, in that predominantly white Twingo, number 733, that's Luka Grm, yesterday's pole sitter. And behind them, in that largely red Twingo, with various other bits and pieces evidently borrowed from maybe the spare parts center. That's Marko Blaževski. Definitely the front bumper isn't original on that one car, so if you find that car in the car advert, be sure that that has already had a few hits and bumps. Mladenovic leading. Cerar is still following suit. He has been close, but not really pushed himself into overtaking Mladenovic. It is now a tactical fight to survive, let's say, the next 18 minutes, and then everything is going to be decided in the final 30 seconds, probably. just have to be there in the mix for the last lap. That's all you need to do. Exactly, and that's why we like to call this the baby NASCAR, because it's exactly the same on many levels. You'll see the cars run 3 wide, 4 wide. They change the order on every single lap now. There is Luca Grimm attacking Luca Glaser and moving up 1 spot. And up the hill we go, onto the start and finish straight. So Mladenovic leading for the time being. There is Luca Glaser in that mostly blue Renault Twingo, pushing Luca Grimm. And Rockcerar in that orange Twingo in P2. Still following Mladenovic. Glaser retaking the 4th position from Luca Grimm. And now Marko Blaževski trying to have some of that for himself as well. So they are now running side by side into the 2nd corner. Oh, and that was that was optimistic from Luca Grimm, but it might just work out. Some of the drivers finding themselves already on the grass. Amazingly, the track can be too narrow for the Twingos sometimes. Grimm drifting, or maybe rather being drifted through that left-hander. Luca Glaser trying it down the inside. And he will probably succeed. Luca Grimm was had a very hairy moment around the outside. Look at that. Everybody just pushing each other like crazy. Oh, and that's a big crash. That is a big crash for Luca Glaser. What happened there? Because it seems as though there was a puncture, because he completely lost that right rear corner of the car. I've never seen an accident like that in the Twingo so far, and I've seen cars roll over and do all sorts of other crazy stuff. And we've got yellow flags. Do we have them shown all around the track? And is there a safety car now? I do see safety car boards. Yes, safety car is out. Safety car is out for the incident of Luca Glaser, who completely lost the right rear corner of the car, amazingly. But I'm not really sure what happened there. I mean, as I mentioned, I've seen a lot of things in the Twingos. The cars are sort of square and boxy, so sometimes you don't really know if it's going forwards or backwards or it's going on its roof. That's where the rear wing is actually helping to tell you which way the car is facing. So the race is neutralized and Luca Glaser is out of it on lap number 3. Sorry, lap number 4. 4 laps finished by now. And the safety car, the fully electric Renault Megane E-Tech. Let's see that. Yeah, he just lost the right rear wheel. And it just came off. It was no puncture. It just lost the entire wheel. But I don't quite think it was because of a contact. Because, you know, as I mentioned, these cars are really based on the standard production models. They are not fully bred racing cars, although they might be trying to fool you into thinking that. But that also means that you do not have one central wheel nut. You've got, not sure if 4 or 5 of them, but you've got more of them on each wheel. And unless most of them sort of were forgotten to be done properly this morning, well, anything can be true, I don't know, but that was a weird incident, honestly, because I don't think that was a result of any of the small bumps and collisions those are normal and the cars are surviving them pretty ordinarily. But what we do know, of course, is that Luca Glaser is out of the race. We've got the safety car out, and let's just wait and see until the car is cleared away. We are now getting back to the scene of the incident, which means we'll be able to take a look at what is going on there. In the meantime, Mitja Velkavrch has set the fastest lap of the race, or maybe was forced to set the fastest lap of the race in 2:28.7, and he is one of only 2 drivers so far to have dropped under 2:29, the other one being Luca Grm right in front of him, who did 2:28.9 on lap number 3. Mitja Velkavrch, in the meantime, he was around 8th place in the beginning of the race. Now he's up to 5th, so it has gone well for him around the incident, and the car of Luca Glaser is now being towed away. There it is. Now you can see it for yourself as well, and being taken away by the track marshals. So I believe that by the end of this lap, and given that it is going to take some time for the Twingos, even at full speed, to reach this spot once again, I believe that we might restart the race right now, but the safety car still has its lights on, which would indicate that it's not going to happen on this lap, but only on the next one, because we've just entered the 3rd sector, and you need to have the lights on the safety car off at the start of the 3rd sector for it to be indicated that the safety car is going in. So we're probably going to have one more lap under full yellow, which is a bit of a shame for us. I believe that by the time we would have reached that spot, everything would be cleared away. You know, it will have been cleared away, but anyway. Definitely nothing against being sometimes maybe a little too cautious. Safety needs to go first, that is for sure. So 10.5 minutes left on the clock as we are entering another lap under the safety car, so it's going to take some time. Actually, it took us around 4 minutes to complete a lap under the safety car, so expect something on the lines of that, which means that in about 4 minutes we might be able to restart, should be able to restart this race on the Sunday morning. And it is still Mihailo Mladenovic leading the race. So far he's done everything he's needed to do. But that is absolutely no guarantee for you in the remainder of the race. You may remember one of the races last year in Slovakia. I believe it was Miha Fabian who took victory, and we had a safety car coming back in right at the very beginning when the time was nearly up. So we just had, I don't know, a minute left, and the race was about to be restarted for one final push lap, but I believe it was Miha Fabian. I can't remember properly, but if it wasn't, then I'm sorry for that. But either way, the point is that the race leader knew that if he allowed the race to be restarted, there was like a 1,000,000% chance he would lose it. So what he basically decided to go extremely slowly and only to reach the finish line after the time was up, which meant that he didn't allow the race to be restarted, and that way he kept his first spot. Yeah, the other drivers called that tactics, which it was, and I'm pretty sure that everybody else would have done the same thing pretty much. So if you want to win, you don't always have to be the fastest. You just have to know what you need to do at that moment to win. mean, look how close the Twingos are running behind the safety car. It's amazing that safety car is actually being too slow here. But anyway, it has now turned its lights off and we are going to have our restart. We have got 8 minutes left, so that's going to become about 7 across the line. Safety car is coming back into the pits. And Mihailo Mladenovic is already trying to open a gap. This is definitely not going to be easy for him. Rokcerar in second. Behind them, Miha Fabian, Luka Grm, Mitja Velkaver, Marko Blaževský, Nick Poljanec, Bojan Šemen, Nikola Jancic and Andrej Škorjans. That is your top 10. The race is restarted. The green flag is out and we have got Miha Fabian going for it. Attacking Rokcerar into the first corner. He's already moving up to second and into the race lead actually. Lots of tire squealing. Some locking up. But we are through the first corner and it is Miha Fabian into the race lead from Rokcerar. Mladenovic falling down to third and actually having to defend it from Luka Grm, who's looking pretty racy around the outside. There is no room for him left at the exit of the corner. Marko Blaževský in fifth and Mitja Velkaver being demoted down to sixth. But it is Fabian leading from Cerar and Mladenovic. And Rokcerar already pushing Miha Fabian. Through the chicane we go. I wonder if it was one of the new curbs that helped that right rear wheel off the car of Luka Glaser earlier on. The incident that brought out the safety car. I'm not really sure of that, but really we're going to have a chat with Luka Glaser after the race to see what actually happened there. But for the time being, we've still got 5.5 minutes left in the race. And it is Miha Fabian leading. And this means that we are about to have 2 final laps after this one. Roughly by my calculations. It takes about 2.5 minutes for the Twingo to complete a lap. So just to give you some perspective, it takes about twice as much time for it to complete a lap than it does to a Formula 1 car. But at the same time, it needs to be said that Formula 1 car has twice as many cylinders. Rokcerar, he's the one pushing. He never overtakes. He's just pushing, and he's not even attempting overtakes because he basically knows that second is probably the best position you can be in into the finishing moments of the race, and then you need to pounce because basically it must be quite scary to be leading a Renault Twingo race if you do not have a large gap over the opposition. And you know, Rokcerar took the victory yesterday, and he was always somewhere in the mix all the way until the penultimate lap when he took the lead and exploited one of the situations where the other drivers were too busy fighting it out, you know, among each other, and he just went for it, opened the gap, and that was never disputed then. There was a little push now onto the left rear corner of Miha Fabian's car, but Fabian still leading, 3.5 minutes. Rokcerar staying close. Ooh, and there's a big crash. There's actually a big crash entering the chicane, and that is going to neutralize the race yet again. That was a massive, massive shunt What car is that? I believe it might be, is it Branko Rafailovsky? It was one of the cars with the race number ending with an 8, so it might also have been Nikola Jancic. And the safety car is going to be out once again, and that means that we are going to finish the race after the behind the safety car. It's Jakaš Tuflek, one of the cars in question, the car number 711. The safety car is back out on track. Didn't really spend much time in the pits, and there are bits and pieces all across the track now. So that was a pretty heavy incident. And this is the other car, already parked behind the barrier. And there's also a damaged car number 705, which, what is it? Yeah, 705, which is Andrei Škorians. So those were the cars fighting around the remaining positions of top 10. So those were 3 participants in this incident. And it must have been also Nick Poljanec. He's dropping. We've got 4 cars dropping down the order now. So we saw Jakaš Tuflek, we saw Andrej Škorians, and I did mention Branko Rafailovsky, and he is also now towards the back end of the field, car number 68. So that was him. Involved in the incident, and somehow also Nick Poljanec managed to get collected or involved. And the race is red flagged. That's probably only logical because there is simply no time left for the race to be restarted, and we would just have now mainly pointless laps behind the safety car. So yeah, the safety car is out, but it is just going to bring the cars back into the pits. And yeah, this is motorsport. Roque was lining up to be in exactly the same great position as he was yesterday to win race number 2 as well, but then a race-ending incident occurred, and that basically destroyed all of his chances to repeat yesterday's victory. Never mind that, he's still second, which is a great result for him. But it is Miha Fabian taking the victory in race number 2 in Hungary. Miha Fabian victorious, and yeah, he's scoring 1 from the season opener in Hungary. We've got Roque in second, Mihailo Mladenovic, who was leading for the majority of the race, all the way until the restart. He finishes third. So that's like the curse for a driver, being first at the restart so far. Marko Blaževský, having led most of the race yesterday, but only finishing 7th after just mentioned restart curse. He's 4th today. 5th place for Luka Grm, Nikola Jancic in 6th, Bojan Petruševský in 7th, Vladimír Trenevský in 8th, Mitja Velkavrch, he was 5th at the restart, 9th across the line to finish the race. And amazingly, Manuel Fernandes, who after yesterday's incident only started today's race from the last row of the grid, finishes 10th. So hats off to Manuel Fernandes for his race as well. Behind the top 10, Antonius, Bojan Šeme, Matic Presha, Zal Rezar, Tomi Sandrin, Slobodan Trajkovský, Boris Stojmenov and Janez Morn. And after the incident we have got Jakaš Tuflek, Nick Poljanec, Andrej Škorians and Branko Rafailovsky towards the back end of the field, with Muris Hamzik and Luka Glaser not finishing, and Dejan Robida after yesterday's race not even taking part. We will continue with the program a little later on of course, because this is only the first part of our program for Sunday. And the next race that we have on stock is the, let's say, Czech Formula, run under the Automobile Club of the Czech Republic. It's the current crop of Formula 4 cars. Just as the Twingos are now getting back to the pits. It was an eventful race to open the day with, so I hope you enjoyed that. We've still got quite a lot of program coming on. So as I mentioned, in a couple of minutes we're going to be back for the Autoklub České republiky Czech Formula. That's the official name of it. And then we're going to make a short break because there is going to be a time gap for the GT quali. After that we're going to be back with the Eastern European TCR race number 2 at 10:40. That's definitely the one to watch. And then after that at 12 o'clock, so at noon, we're going to see the second of the trio of European Swift Cup races. After the lunch break we're going to be back with the second GT Sprint at 1:40, and then second Formula race at 2:30. And after that, Clio Cup race at 4:10, and to finish the program off towards the end of the day at 5 p.m. with the third race of the Suzuki Swift Cup Europe race. So let's just see the best of today's action. The Renault Twingo Cup definitely didn't disappoint, and brought excitement, brought joy, and brought great fights, and also a wheel losing incident for Luca Glaser, and then a race ending crash. And in the meantime, the track is being swept now. Of course, we need to clear away the debris from the crash cars, and after that we're going to be back with the Formula 4 single-seaters. So that was the first race to open the Sunday's racing action with, and I believe that was a good thing to wake up to, wasn't it? So Miha Fabian scoring a victory on the season opener ahead of yesterday's race winner Rokcerar. Mihailo Mladenovic dropping down to third towards the end of the race. That is your podium, and with the results we are now gonna sign off for a couple of minutes, but make sure to be back in a little while for the first race of the single-seaters.